In Module 5, we will introduce Panda library under NumPy library to do more data science tasks. In this module, we will explore more how to read and write the text file. In this class, usually we're using the CSV file. After we read the file, we will load the data into DataFrame. So that's a data object under Pandas library that provide many useful tools to process and analyze data. Continuing this module, you will also learn how to start analyzing data. We will dealing with the missing value. We will focus on incorrect data format. And also from the statistic point of view, we only can analyze the quantitative data. So that's why in your data set, if you have any categoric variable, we will turn that into the quantitative variable. So we will introduce how we will do that. That's the topic we will cover for this module. We will introduce the data frame under Pandas package. We also will do the quick overview about the Python package for data science. We were using the Panda library for data analysis. You need to understand the data. We were importing and exporting data in Python. We were getting started analyzing data in Python. You will identify and handle missing value. We will do the data formatting. We will turn the categoric variable into quantitative variable. So let's start to introduce the Panda fundamentals. In your handout 5, you will see we will introduce the Panda fundamentals. We will see how we will do the Panda declaration. We were using the Pandas to create the series object. The most important thing, we were using the data frame object. So we will see how should we do that one by one. The first thing, let's talk about Panda fundamentals. So Pandas actually is a package under the NumPy we introduced last week. So Panda incorporates a broader spectrum of data manipulation functionality with regards to multi-dimensional data. It's not like NumPy. Remember, NumPy just like you process the array, but the Pandas actually provide an interface just like the spreadsheet, like your Excel. So all the column and the row you read from the Excel file, we will save that in the data frame. So that means each column has its own label. They have more advanced operation, like we will handle missing data, work with the categorics data. So the Panda library is implemented as a multi-dimensional data structure we call data frame. So later we will give you the example how to define and read the data as a data frame. So the first thing, how we will import the Panda library. So the first thing, don't forget, Panda library is under NumPy. So that's why you need to import NumPy first. So then you will import the Pandas. So we're using the short name as PD. So after we import the Pandas library, the first thing that's introduced, how to create the series object. The Panda series object actually just like one-dimensional array. So a simple list and the array can be used to create series object. So we'll see, for example, like this. After we import Pandas as PD, so you're using the series method, then you can provide your list. So then they will create a series data object. So each value, they will associate with the index. So then after we create the series data, you see we display the output here. So they will display the value we specified earlier and see they have the corresponding index. And at the end, we have the data type. So since here we have the decimal number, so that's the floating data type. If you don't specify the index, they just by default using the index as an integer, start from 0 to one by one. Then, of course, for the series object, you also can specify your index using other data type. So that's why we create another series by specify the index. So the first thing for your series method, the first parameter, the first argument will be your value. So then you have the index list associated with the value. So that's why if we display the information again, you will see your value still here, but associated with index become like the key is A, B, C, D instead of 0, 1, 2, 3. In Jupyter Notebook, when we display the object, they will show you the content and data type information. So after we create the series object, we also can just display the index and the values information using the series object name dot index. So the data attribute will display the index. So then your values attribute, they will display all the values. So you can see here, the series object very sounds like the dictionary, right? So that's why here, when you want to create a series from an existing dictionary, we also can do that. Remember, when we create a dictionary, we're using the key, then column with the value. So we do one by one. So here we define a series dictionary object. So by this series dictionary object, we can pass to the series method to create a series object. So then you can print the information. Then you will see the associative key with the value. So of course, you can access your dictionary using the key value. So we see the last example. So we create an array. We create the row name as the key. So when we create the series, we can using the array information, then index equal to another list information. So that's why we have my series object. So when you print my series object, because you have index to associate with that, they will have the index information and the value. So after you have your index value, you can using the square bracket associated with your series object, either using the index value you provided. And also remember, you can either using the index value or by default, they were using the index as an integer type, start with 0. So both using the square bracket 0 or letter A, they will find the associative value 1 and display that. So that's the series from the Panda. Continue, let's introduce the most important object, data frame object under Panda. So the data frame object is very useful. And the most important thing, different from the series data, that's a multi-dimensional array of the index data. What does that mean? Earlier, our series object, we only have index associated with value. So that's one-dimensional array. Sounds like the one-dimensional array with the index data. But data frame, actually, you can combine multiple series objects. Then they will build up like the spreadsheet, like a table. So each column will be one series object. We see how we will do that. So in this example, we will show you, we create the data frame from the existing series. So the first thing, that's create two series. We have the series as the ID. So here we create an ID dictionary with the key and the value. So we use the series method to create the series object. So then we can print the information. Then we create another dictionary with the same key but different value. So this value is the letter grade. So again, we can using the dictionary create through the Panda series method. We create the series object. So now we display the series object. You will see here you have numeric data and the letter grade. So what you find is these two series, the most important thing is they have the same key associated with different data value. So that we will be add into our Panda data frame. So the data frame, like we say, is like a table. So this table is, they will have the same key, the same index, but they have multiple different data. Like here, we have ID, we have the grade. So we use the PD dot data frame. So using the column to separate each column value. So the column value, you have the first one is the ID, that will be the name of that column. So we use the comma. So then you see the value will have the series ID series object. So then we have the grade. So then we're using another series object. So these two series object, the most important thing, they associate with the same key, the same index. So after we create, you will see here, the data frame of the student info. So we save that called the student info data frame. So if we just display the student frame, you will see this data frame. The first thing is they will have the index associated with multiple columns. So each column, they have their name. So for example, the first column is ID, the second column is grade. So of course, you can display the whole data frame as a table, or you can just display the data frame index. So that will be like the key here. And also you can display all the column in this data frame. So here we have one column ID, second column grade. So that's why your column is your ID and the grade. They both data type is object. So after you create this student info data frame, you can just using the student info, use the square bracket to see which column you want to access. So this column we call grade. So we're just using the square bracket and say the grade. So that's why they would only display the key, the index with the column for this column only. So that's why we display here is the letter grade. And also you can just display your student info for another column, but you with some operator. So here I only want to display the student ID greater than 25. So then you can use this one, your value. So remember earlier when you create the data frame, your grade series, or your ID series, you're using the series ID dictionary. So then they see the value greater than 25. So then they will display here only the ID greater than 25. In this video, we just overall to give you an introduction about the Panda fundamentals. So later in the lecture page, you will see many short video clips to focus on each topic. So the most important thing, I also provide the Jupyter notebook for this handout. So you can try the sample code block one by one. So later you also can see, I will give you the example here. You will just go over during your lab exercise. So here we will show you how to create the data frame using the random function. And also the most important thing at the end, we will show you how you will access the data file in CSV data format. So then we'll display the data frame information. So that's the useful tools from data frame. We can just read the CSV file by providing the file name. So here, if you only provide the file name, you need to make sure this text file is under the same directory as your Jupyter notebook file. So then after you read the CSV file, they will create a data frame. So you can display the data frame using the describe method. They will show all the table with the first 5 entry. So that's why you will see the table information look like this, very format neatly.